Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Unquestionably Raw podcast. Today, we're previewing the Dallas Mavericks 2016-2017 NBA season. This is our last season preview leading into the regular season, which starts on October 25th. So Matt and I are going to break down the Mavericks for you. So, Matt, going to the first question. Looking at the Mavs and the starting lineup, you've got Deron Williams back at point guard, Wesley Matthews at the shooting guard, Harrison Barnes, their big free agent acquisition at the small forward spot, Dirk Nowitzki at the power forward, and Andrew Bogut, who came over from the Warriors in a trade. How do you see the roles for the starting five going this year?
Let's start off with Deron Williams. It's going to be interesting what we can get from this guy this year. He's getting up there as in age, and it's crazy to think that like 5 years ago, him and Chris Paul were. The argument was who's the better point guard. Now they're about the same age, and Deron Williams is. Nobody talks about him anymore. The guy's not even an all-star caliber player. So that's crazy. So I don't know what they're going to get out of him. I mean, he was hurt off and on last year. Then you've got Wesley Matthews. Hopefully we can get more consistency from him this year because we know when healthy what he can do. So I'm going to give him a mulligan for last year being kind of up and down because of coming off the Achilles. It's understandable. Barnes, we'll touch on him in a little bit. Dirk, I mean, what more can you say about Dirk? You're not going to get much defensively out of him, especially him in advanced age at this point in his career. But offensively, he's still going to be fantastic. He's going to make shots. He's gonna make all the right plays, and Bogut is a really nice pickup for them. That's really gonna help them defensively. Good rim protector. He's gonna rebound, and then on the offensive end, just his passing out of the post is exceptional. He's an underrated passer. Just hopefully he can stay healthy because he has had his injury problems throughout his career. So hopefully he can stay healthy.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm going to touch on Deron Williams for just a second. Obviously, for those listening, Chris Paul is the extremely better point guard. I kind of feel bad for Deron Williams in a way because if he had just matured a little bit quicker and learned a lot more under Jerry Sloan and never went to Brooklyn, we might be talking about a different player right now. Injuries kind of hit him. And then confidence was a big factor in his decline.
Yeah.
And then coming over to Dallas, he had a decent season last year, but the ankles just don't hold up. And that's going to be the question for him. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be, pretty productive, not top tier or even a mid tier, but that third tier point guard that can definitely help you, get a lower seed in the playoffs for sure. With Wes, the big thing for him is getting back to being able to score in the post because that's kind of a bread and butter for him, something a little bit different than obviously knowing that he can shoot threes. The question is going to be where is the athleticism going to come in as far as defensively, because he's going to have to guard the perimeter guys. Deron Williams is not guarding anybody, and we don't know what we're going to get from Harrison Barnes yet. So, that's it with Wes Matthews. So hopefully the Achilles is 100% healed. He's fully healthy, and we can see what we can get from him. Dirk, borderline all-star every year. He's going to still be a leader for his team. It's just the question is going to be, are they kind of winding down, from the Dirk era and preparing for that next step and maybe a small rebuild in the future? We don't know. But Dirk is still going to bring it, not defensively, but on the offensive end, he's going to bring a good, 17 to 25 points depending on what they need for that night. And Matt, as you touched on, Andrew Bogut's biggest asset is going to be able to pass out of the post, get guys looks on the perimeter, especially some of the bench guys we'll talk about in a second. But Bogut, wants to make sure he's healthy. He hasn't played a lot of minutes throughout the regular season, the last couple seasons. So, look for him to kind of get a boost in minutes and he'll have a boost in production. So should be pretty solid. And Harrison Barnes, We'll definitely be talking about him in a few minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
looking at the key reserves, Seth Curry coming over from the Kings. Dwight Powell carved out a good role last year. Want to see him, see what he can do this year with a little bit bigger role. J.J. Barea, backup point guard. Devin Harris can play the 2 and the point. Quincy Acey coming over from the Kings. And Justin Anderson, he's very intriguing. And then you've got a couple of bench guys, Salah Mejri, A.J. Hammonds, who they drafted. And the 2 guys that they guaranteed contracts for the season yesterday, keeping Dorian Finney-Smith out of Florida and Nicholas Brasino out of Argentina. What do you think of some of the reserves, Matt?
Seth Curry, I think that's a really good pickup. He's going to actually get minutes and be in the rotation for the first time in his career. He'll be their second best shooter behind Dirk. I wouldn't be surprised if he led the bench in scoring because he's going to get plenty of opportunities to score the ball with this second unit. Then you have Dwight Powell. I like his energy, can make some shots for him. Just a really high energy guy. J.J. Barea, you know what he can do for the most part, since they won the championship in 2011. Same thing with Devin Harris. The only thing is with these guys is they're older. So what do how much can they give at this point in their careers? Quincy Acey, another guy, high energy, rebound, defend, can make a 15-foot jump shot from time to time. Justin Anderson's going to be, I think, really intriguing. I think Mavericks fans are really going to be interested to see how he's developed in the offseason. Because if a guy like Harrison Barnes struggles, you could throw Justin Anderson in there and make Barnes the 6th man. Don't know if Barnes will like that too much. And at the end of the bench, of course, I like Majiri. I think he may get some time if there's some injuries this year. He may get in that rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Salah played very, Salah, he can score. We saw that last year. The question with him is he going to get pushed around in the post? Is he going to be able to rebound consistently? That's where a guy like Quincy Acey comes in. He can get you some rebounds, scrappy player. He can stretch the floor if he needs to. Not going to ask for a ton of minutes, but he is going to be a rotation guy. A.J. Hammonds is not going to play. He'll be a D-League guy. That's kind of – they drafted him to develop. Same for Brasino. He'll get some spot minutes, but I think he's a little bit too raw right now to be counted on the rotation. Same for Dorian Finney-Smith, D-League for him. Just gives them some options there. And then looking at J.J. Barea, you know what you're going to get, energy guy out of him. But is he healthy? I don't think he's going to be healthy to start the first game or 2 of the season, but hopefully long-term, he'll be healthy enough to contribute consistently. Devin Harris is right there. He's going to need minutes at the point and the 2 guard. And then Dwight Powell is intriguing for me because he can stretch the floor. He can get down in the post. Question's going to be, can he rebound and defend? That's where he's going to really have trouble, or he had trouble last year. It's probably going to have trouble this year. And Seth Curry, most intriguing to me because he can fill it up. The Kings were crazy not to utilize him more last year. I do not blame him for wanting to get out of that toxic situation that we call Sacramento. With them, it's funny because when George Karl signed on as coach, Rudy Gay said, welcome to basketball hell. And I think Curry experienced that last year. Excited to sign his first contract, but I think he could have got a ton more minutes and would have supplied a lot more than they would have gotten out of trying to utilize Ben McLemore, who just was struggling so bad last year. So that brings us to the next question, Matt. What do you think their biggest strengths and weaknesses are for the Mavs?
Well, let's first go back to we're going to go offensive rating and defensive rating here. So last year, the Dallas Mavericks defensive rating, they were 17th. Offensive rating, they were number 11. Not bad. Which when you combine those two, but they were, let's see here, they were 21st in pace. So you combine all those together, and that gives you your borderline playoff team. So I think offensively and defensively, I mean offensively, it's going to be one of their strengths, but I think that if defensively they're a question mark, so their offense is going to have to be. I think they have to jump into the top 8. If their defense is going to be a suspect defense, 17th in the NBA defensive rating is going to be tough. If they take a step back, this is not a playoff team. And I don't know if they're going to take a step forward defensively. And I don't know if they're going to be that much better offensively to be a playoff team. So that's going to be really big for these guys, to get better defensively and offensively, just because their defense is just not very good.
Yeah. I think the key for me successfully is going to be how Rick Carlisle utilizes some of the new faces, Andrew Bogut, Harrison Barnes, Seth Curry. I think he's going to want to play Curry a lot. Barnes is going to get his chances just for the simple fact of the money that was paid for him. And out of Andrew Bogut, all he has to do is ask him to rebound, block some shots, and run in transition and get some dunks. I mean, basically just take a copy of what the Warriors did last season with him, and they'll be fine. But can they hit shots consistently? That's going to be the key on offense. And defensively, losing some of that perimeter defense, that's going to be a question mark. So guys like Wes Matthews, he's going to have to step up. But where else do you have perimeter defense? Unless you're looking at, someone like a Justin Anderson taking a leap forward, but he's going to be a bench guy. So what do you get out of the starters on the perimeter? So you're asking Barnes to step in offensively into a role that maybe he's not as accustomed to, and then defensively defend as well. So it's a little bit of a change for Harrison Barnes, which does lead me into the next question. What do the Mavs need to do to get Harrison Barnes' confidence and production back up? So that way they don't feel buyer's remorse, because between last year with the Warriors, very bad shooting in the playoffs, of course, and he has not done well in the preseason. What do you think they need to do?
Well, I think we know throughout his career, leading into the playoffs last year, I mean, even during the season, he was about a 40% three-point shooter. So I think you got to get him. I think they got to try to get him going early, and try to get him some easy buckets, layups. He needs to get to the foul line, and then feed him, get him the ball when he's open, and see if he can make some shots. Because the only way to get the confidence back offensively, he's got to make shots. So I think they have to go to him early, get him some layups, get him some open threes, and once you see he makes a couple, then the confidence will come back. And I think that affects his defense as well. I think if he's got confidence offensively, he'll be fine on the defensive end for him. But I think the key is just to get him some easy buckets, to build that confidence. And he's just got to see the ball go through the basket. I mean, look at what happened to a guy like Nick Anderson back in '95, the finals. He missed his 4 free throws in a row, and he couldn't throw it in the ocean after that.
Yeah.
You just hope that Barnes is not that, because he missed so many open shots, that now he's gun shy and he can't throw in the ocean anymore. You pray that's, and if that's the case, there may not be much they can do to improve his confidence. He may be done. I hope that's not the case, because he's still a young player.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to read a quote real quick that Andrew Bogut said. He said he puts in a lot of work. Whether he has a bad game or a good game, he's usually one of the first guys here looking after his body. He's in the cold tub, lifting weights, getting shots up. I know he puts the work and effort in. It's just an adjustment for him. He's going from a 4th, 5th, 6th option to now a 1 or 2 option on this team. So he's going to have to adjust. He's young, so he'll figure it out. It won't happen straight away. So I think that's a testament to kind of coincide with what Rick Carlisle said. He's going from a system player basically to starting and being a key option. But the plans for Rick Carlisle so far seem to kind of be easing him in, asking him to just take those shots when you're open. The adjustment for Harrison is going to be able to get the confidence, just as you said, Matt, to knock those down. It's all about the muscle memory and just confidence. He's going to get the looks, because other teams around the league are going to look at, well, you've been shooting it bad, we're going to leave you open. Once he starts knocking down 5 or 6 of those, that confidence will start to build back up. And if he gets there, I mean, he can easily average 15 points a game. But right now, probably the most realistic expectation is 9 to 12 points a game. somewhere in that range until he can build that confidence up. But it's going to be vital for him to get there, pretty quick as the season goes, because, Dallas spending that much money maxing out Harrison Barnes, people around the league are going to start looking at him as a big free agent bust, buyer's remorse. Dallas fans are going to be up in arms. So hopefully he turns around pretty quickly. So who do you think is the most vital to the Mavs' success this year?
I'm going to stick to the theme. It's Harrison Barnes. They're paying this guy basically max money to come in and essentially be the guy, their go-to guy offensively, because Dirk can't shoulder the load anymore. He's not going to play huge minutes. He'll play 27, 28 minutes. But Barnes is the guy you're bringing in to play 33 to 37 minutes a game and be your scorer, And so I think if he can become that guy, this is going to be a playoff team. The question is, can he become that guy? And we just don't know. His performance in the finals last year was just atrocious. It was awful. And if he continues to bring that over, you carry over from the finals, then it's really going to hurt this team. Granted, I mean, right now it looks like an upgrade over Chandler Parsons, only because Harrison Barnes will play. Mm-hmm. Chandler Parsons never played because he was always hurt. But I think, this guy has to bring it offensively for this team. And I think if he does that's just going to be huge.
Absolutely. I'm going to go a different route since you went Harrison Barnes. I'm going to say Andrew Bogut. Looking at the skill that Bogut, it's unique because he can handle the ball. So basically he's grabbing a rebound, dribbles the length of the court, and he can throw a pass, stride for stride with anybody, to an easy basket to a teammate. So basically it's unheard of. So he's going to be able to find guys like Darren Williams on the perimeter, Wes Matthews, Dirk, of course, for those wide open looks. Harrison Barnes, everybody's on the perimeter. He can finish around the rim, fantastic rebounder, shot blocker. He was all defensive second team. So 7th in the league in true shooting percentage, 12th in blocks per game, and he averaged 4 assists per 36 minutes. So that's the kind of versatility you want in a big man. He's going to be able to protect the rim because there's going to be a lot of nights, Dirk's going to give up some points. You're going to want somebody there to protect the rim and just kind of, feed the defense, so to speak. So I think he's going to be the biggest key to them, especially defensively. Looking at Dallas, they expect to be a playoff team. Do you think they make the playoffs, Matt? And where do you have them?
I do not have them in the playoffs. I actually have them on the outside looking in between 9 and 10. I don't see much of an improvement offensively. I think they'll be around the same. And defensively, I don't know. I know Bogut's going to help. But other than that, Darren, their perimeter defense is so suspect, and you don't know what you're going to get out of Wesley Matthews right now. Just the injury, him not getting back to his how he was before the injury. So I think defense is such a question mark. I just can't put this team in the playoffs right now. Of course, that could all change. Wesley Matthews becomes great defensively again, and the consistency comes back. Harrison Barnes becomes that scorer they want. And then this team looks really good. If those things happen, then yes, they're going to be a playoff team. But as of now, if you ask, I don't know, so I can't say this is going to be a playoff team right now. I have them finishing 9 or 10.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have them right outside of the playoffs right now. Everything is determined by injuries. Mm-hmm. You could get a top-tier team that we think is going to be, really good, and one injury could spoil all of that. And with Dallas, I just don't think they have enough in the rotation that can consistently bring it every night on both ends of the floor to beat out teams that got a little bit better, like a Houston or even Memphis. Looking at the addition of Zach Randolph on the bench, that just pushes their bench that much further. You look at Dallas's bench, there's not really guys that stand out where it's like, wow, we're scared of this player. He can give it to us any given night. With Seth Curry, yes, he can put points up, but he's still unproven. He's young.
And defensively, he's not exactly a lockdown defender.
Right, and then Justin Anderson's up and coming. So they have guys that are, a good year away from really stepping in. But, we say it every year. We have, Dallas is teetering on the playoffs, and then they somehow shock us. Rick Carlisle, one of the best coaches in the NBA, he somehow wills this team. So we could be totally wrong, and they could make the playoffs. But there's just too many teams right now, in my opinion, that improved a little bit better than what the Mavericks got, because I just don't look at Harrison Barnes as a push to get to that 5th seed or 4th seed in the West, kind of what they envisioned early on, and they struck out again in the offseason. So the last question I've got here, Matt, is our last question we usually go with, is a bold prediction for the Mavericks this year. What do you got?
Bold prediction, I guess it's not too bold, but maybe it is, for this team. Seth Curry averages 15 off the bench.
Ooh, okay. So you got that. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see him getting double-figure scoring. I think, in all honesty, Rick Carlisle figures out, as my bold prediction, around the All-Star break, he's going to be better off pulling Harrison Barnes as a 6-man this year. Lets Justin Anderson into the starting lineup as a different dynamic.
That was going to be my second one, Pete.
Yeah, so,
I'm glad I went with Seth Curry.
Yeah, so I had to go with that one just because I think it's going to work wonders for Harrison Barnes. I like Harrison Barnes as a player. That confidence has got to come up, and it's a shame if he doesn't get there. And so, that's where I'm at. And I think Justin Anderson, can emerge and really score and bring defensively just what Harrison Barnes can bring in the long term. So I don't think you trade off much. It just helps with the confidence off the bench for Harrison Barnes. So that'll be key. So that's going to wrap us up for the Dallas Mavericks, and that ends our NBA season previews. We got through all 30 teams in time for the season opener on the 25th. Want to let everybody know that Monday we're going to do 9 p.m. Eastern. So that's going to be October the 24th, 9 p.m. Eastern. We are going to have Keith Smith on with us as a guest again, and we're going to go through the playoff predictions for each team, where each of us has everyone, both Eastern Conference and Western Conference, all the season awards, and then we're also going to pick our finals teams, which pretty much, I guess for most people, it's probably going to be the obvious choices, unless we get a surprise shocker from one of our panelists. But that'll be tomorrow night. And then starting next Sunday, we'll start with our twice weekly podcast. We're going to do Wednesday evenings, and then we're going to do Sunday evenings, highlighting the games during the week, highlighting what's upcoming for the next week, and go from there throughout the season. We're going to have many of our guest panelists that were nice enough to be on with us, throughout these season previews. We ranked top 4 on iTunes. Top 4. We beat out many other great podcasts that we never in our wildest dreams thought would happen that quick. So thank you to everybody that was on the panel with us throughout the season. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, for downloading, for subscribing. If you have not done that, please go to YouTube. Like our videos. Go to the Unquestionably Raw page. You can subscribe to the YouTube page. You can go download our iTunes podcast. They're usually up within an hour or two after the show. Subscribe to that podcast so they auto-download. You'll get all of them at once. And until then, we will see you guys on Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, for our prediction show.